Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, a very smart man named Mr. Richard Rossello, who put this party together, said, a speech, yes, Richard. And I've had so many people say, how did he do it? And I said, that's Richard. 1983, Richard, you put together one of these down at El Estero at the Youth Center. And the energy and excitement was fantastic, just like it is tonight. I was first elected to the city council in 1981. I was elected mayor in 1983. My daughter, who is right here, was 12 years old. And now that I'm coming back, one of our granddaughters is also 12 years old. So I don't know exactly what that means, but it's, as Cliff Clavin used to say on Cheers, that's an interesting factoid. Two questions people ask me. One is, why are you coming back? Because I spent a total of 20 years on the council. I spent 35 years teaching in Monterey. And the answer is, thanks. And the answer is the same answer you would give. Why do you volunteer so much? We love Monterey. We love our community. And that's the theme of tonight. It's working together. And when I look at today versus 1981, all of us in the room, neighborhood associations, business associations, hospitality, we all want to work together. I can sense that. There's such an emphasis on togetherness right now, and we have no choice. We have to work together. I want to, first of all, salute all the volunteers wherever you are, whether it's in your place of faith, whether it's in the military, whether you're teaching school, whether you're on a nonprofit board. I thank you for that. And I want to really thank all the families and your support team that make that happen. When a person's elected or a person becomes a public figure, not just that person, the entire family. And you can't do it without your family and your friends and your support. My wife Dottie has been through this. She knew what we were getting into. In 1981, she didn't know what we were getting into. So I thank her very much, and all of the families and all of you who volunteer everywhere, thousands of hours. And that brought something interesting to me. I thought it would be fun to take a look at past mayors and council members. I'm just going to focus right now on government-related volunteer service. We have Dan Albert, who was here earlier with his lovely wife Joanne, and there he is. Dan spent 8 years on the city council, 20 years as mayor, 28 years of his life, and Joanne's, and the family's, was given to the city of Monterey. Dan, your record's safe for 20 years mayor. I'm not even going to try. Teresa Canepa and Louis. Louis might hold the record for attending the most city council meetings. Teresa, 10 years on Parks and Rec, 20 years on the council, 30 years. Great seeing Teresa again. I didn't see Peter Caniglio. He's been very active in helping Measure P. We were figuring Peter had, as well as being a two-term mayor, 17 years in the city of Monterey. Don Edgren's here with Margie. Don was on Planning Commission and Council 20 years. Carl Outson, Architectural Review, Planning, Council, 18 years. Our supervisor, Dave Potter, got his training in the city of Monterey. And David was ARC, Planning, and Council 10 years, 18 years as supervisor. Dick Vreeland, I haven't seen Dick tonight. Are you here, Dick? Dick filled out Ruth Vreeland's 20-year term, and Dick was with us for a year. And I did a total of 20. Just mentioning, thank you. Just mentioning the folks who had past councils and past mayors, 144 years of community service. That's just, and all of you, if we added everything you do, and as I said earlier, we're into thousands of years. Current council, we have our mayor, Chuck Della Sala. Well, Chuck spent 10 years on the Planning Commission, didn't feel it was enough, was 4 years as a council member, 8 years as mayor. Chuck has spent the last 22 straight years in the service of the city of Monterey. Then Libby Downey is here. Libby has been a longtime Parks and Rec member, 22 years, one of the original supporters of the Sports Center. She's been on the city council now for 10 years. Libby, 32 years. And Alan Hoffa, a current council member. Alan has been with MPC for years. Many of you probably took gen training classes and so on with Alan. And he spent 3 years on the MPUSD board. Then he's been on the council for 2 years. I'm going to ask Alan later, or he can tell us what's easier, MPUSD or city council? Then Nancy Selfridge is here tonight, and Nancy is a retired school teacher. She was president of the Monte Vista Neighborhood Association, spent 10 years on the Quilton Hall Cultural Arts Commission, and 8 years on the council, 18 years. Then Frank Sollecito was with the police department since 1972, and he retired after 32 years as a sergeant, and many years in volunteers for youth. A great athlete, wonderful football player, and I think he beat me a time or two in tennis as well. And he's been on for 8 years. So the current city council has 82 years of City of Monterey community service. If you add past, present council and mayors, 226 years. When I did those figures, that's amazing. And we thank you very much. We have 4 candidates here tonight, and I really want to thank them for their willingness to serve, their willingness to all of you come together tonight. It's, I think, a first, and maybe it'll be a new tradition. Tim Barrett is here this evening. He's a small business owner, a community activist, very much in favor of economic vitality, and Tim is here with us this evening. Hanson Reed, attorney. He's been on the Neighborhood Improvement Program as a rep and the Planning Commission. And Hansen, we're really pleased that you threw your hat in the ring too. And I know he's here with his wife Amy and so on. Good. Nancy Selfridge, I mentioned earlier, she's an incumbent running for office. And we thank her for being willing to go for more. Then Ed Smith, 34 years as a police officer. He's been a consultant, a small business owner, and many of you know Ed because he's all over the community. Thank all of you for doing this. Yeah. At this point in the calendar, having been a candidate, I'm running unopposed this time, first time since 1981, and I don't know why, but I'm grateful. So I've had an opportunity to spend a lot of the time that I normally would be spending campaigning just to reconnect with everybody in the community. And I know the candidates are so happy that the campaigning is over. At this point, I used to say, I don't care if I win. I don't care if I lose. Please, no more campaigning. And we'll see tonight. So, and you know what? And it's a cliche, but there are no winners and losers because these are people who are willing to serve their community. And if this time isn't your time, maybe it will be next time. Maybe it's some other kind of volunteerism. So I'm really grateful for you to do that for us.
Well, I think this is the first time we've done this event where we have all of the candidates under one roof on election night. So I think it's a wonderful time that we can come together and celebrate Monterey, celebrate where we live and our relationships, and we can all get along. This election process has been very congenial. We've come to know all of the candidates, and so I think that this is another expression of coming together in this unique community called Monterey.
Well, the unique thing about this event is that it's bringing all the candidates together and all of their supporters together. And I think that when you bring people together, it starts to erode factionalism, and people begin to recognize each other, and from there, people can learn how to work together. And really, you know, the problems that are facing our community are those that we need to take a whole community approach. We need to bring people together to bring the best ideas, sift through those, and come up with the best solutions possible for our community. And it takes everybody working together to do that. And this is a step in that direction.
Why do you think this is an important event to have for the community?
This is an important event to bring us all together so we can start working together in the future to make Monterey even better than it already is. Everywhere you go, people in the world know of Monterey, and it is really, truly a special place with special people, and we need to keep it that way.
Why is Monterey so special?
Monterey is the greatest city in the United States. It's an awesome place to live. It's the economic hub of the peninsula, and there's just so much that goes on here. We're close enough to big cities, but yet we have a small town life. We have, it's a great place to raise a family. We have a lot of really interesting things that come to the peninsula. We have golf tournament, we have car shows, we have all sorts, we have races, and all really centers around the city of Monterey. Although there's Carmel and other places, really everything centers around the city of Monterey. And that's why I love being a citizen of the city of Monterey. You know, Dan Albert used to say, it's a great day to be the mayor of the city of Monterey. I always said it's a great day to be a citizen of the city of Monterey.
At this point, I'd like to introduce Mike McCarthy, who is our city manager of how many months now, Mike? 5. And among the many accomplishments of our current current council, among the many accomplishments of our current council, I want to say one of the highest ones was hiring this young man here as our city manager.
Thank you, Clyde. I have to say it's such an honor to be speaking tonight, a night in which we'll be electing new leaders for the city. It's even more of an honor for me to be representing all city employees to thank and honor 2 council members who will be retiring on the first meeting of December. And so it's quite an honor for me to talk about both Chuck Della and Frank Sollecito. First, I'd like to talk about Frank. I met Frank 13 years ago when I joined the city. I was hired as a city negotiator, and one of my first tasks was to negotiate with the police union. So that was super fun when I heard that. I'd heard stories about Frank. He was a tough negotiator, a tough guy. But when I first met Frank at the negotiating table, he stood up, he shook my hand, he welcomed me to the city. He was warm and compassionate and just a class act from the get-go. Frank carried those same traits to the council, and he served just a man of compassion for the last 8 years. I'm very honored to call Frank a friend, and I'm very honored that I got to work with Frank in that capacity. So I'd like to thank Frank Sollecito tonight. Thank you, Frank. As is tradition of the city, when we have a retiree, we create street signs. So we'd like to present this to, hopefully we spelled it correctly. Frank just asked me if they won or lost in that negotiation. I think they won pretty heartily. Nice, Frank. And next, of course, I'd like to recognize and honor Mayor Chuck Della Sala. You've heard about his 10 years on Planning Commission, his 4 years as council, and 8 years as our mayor. And I'll tell you, we couldn't be luckier to have Chuck as our mayor. He knows city issues as well as anyone. You can ask him on the street about issues, and he'll have an answer quickly, and it'll be well-informed and right on point. One of the many things I like about Chuck is he tries to include everybody in his decision-making. It's not a decision by one person, it's a decision by consensus. And that's one of the things I've learned from Chuck, and he's been incredible to work with. I have to say that on a personal level, Chuck has become a friend and a mentor, and I'm going to miss him on the dais. And I just want to say thanks to Chuck Della Sala as our mayor. We double-checked the spelling this morning on these, but I think so. That's tight. There we go. Chuck Della Sala. Thank you.
Now that's great. See, if they put those up, you'll know where to find them and say, hey guys, we have some things we want you to do for us. Yeah, we know where you live. Yeah, that's just, that's great. Thank you, Mike. The purpose of this party, again put on by my good friend Richard, and I want to digress a moment because I don't know how soon we get absentees. Then of course it'll be as some smart person said, recycled mayor, would you just be quiet? We want to see how things are coming out. So give me a cue. So Richard and I one day had met about 1983 or 4. We met on the fairgrounds, and we were talking. We had a meeting with the fairgrounds, who are our wonderful host tonight. And as we were leaving that meeting, Richard said, there has to be a way we have tourism impacts. We're not against tourists, but tourists are here, visitors are here, they impact our streets. The neighborhoods don't seem to be getting the money that the visitors industry gets. And that's no offense, it's just a different time. So he said, we got to figure out a way where we can have some of that money from the hotel, motel industry go directly to the neighborhood. And I went home and I thought about that, and I said, neighborhood improvement program. We put it on the ballot, and we raised the hotel, motel tax from 8 to 10%, about 2%. That 2% increase went to the neighborhood improvement program, which since its inception in 1985 has poured $56 million into the neighborhoods and citywide to help with our infrastructure. So whether you live in Monterey or not, and I know not everyone does, we have to work together. We have some things we really have to work on, one of which is water. The last thing we want to do is like happened to Toro Park a few years ago. They turned their faucets on and air and dust came out, literally. So we have to work together on that, and I want to do that. We're going to do it. BRAC, which is Base Realignment and Closure. We have our wonderful DLI, Defense Language Institute, and our Navy Postgraduate School here. the federal government's looking at another round of closures and reductions. And we as a community have already started to work together across city boundaries to make sure we keep those wonderful institutions here. Not just because they're good for the economy, they belong here. We're the language center. We have the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey. At CSUMB, we have an active airport. We are a center for education. And I'm sure and I'm hoping that we'll continue to have the DLI and the Navy Postgraduate School here. The half marathon's coming up. 220 volunteers from the DLI are going to help with the half marathon. That's community, folks. I'm so excited about that. It's been said a lot. Let's keep Monterey a special place to live, work, and visit. I should have copyrighted that. We have a special place to live. 14 neighborhood associations. If it's a special place to live, it's going to be a special place to work. Our strong economy. We just had an opening on Alvarado Street. Again, thank you to the current council. Alvarado Street is transforming right in front of our very eyes. That's so excited about that. We have, yes. We have many, many, many educational institutions on the peninsula. In 1981, someone said, well, how can teachers get elected to the city council? Do you know how many people are associated with education on the Monterey Peninsula? It's mind-boggling. And if this is a special place to live and it's a special place to work, it's going to be a special place to visit. We are so special, the tourists want to come here. We want to make sure we have a clean, safe city. We want a pristine bay. They come here for the scenery and the activities and the Monterey Aquarium. We're all in this together. We're all working together. I have been so gratified over the last few weeks just to meet with so many groups who say, we want to meet neighborhood people if they're business. Neighborhood people say, we want to meet the hospitality folks. So this is the beginning of coming together, and I ask all of you in your collective wisdom, let's figure out a way where we can do this periodically, where we all get together and say, hey, I'm from Casanova Oak Knoll neighborhood. Well, I represent the Clement Hotel. Great to meet you. What can we do to keep this place special? And I'm hoping you'll do that. If there's people here you haven't met before, find out who they are. Let's continue to work together. I'm going to stop right now after I do one of my favorite quotations. Oh, you can't get rid of me that easy. I promise you that city council meetings will be shorter than this little talk. And the staff's going, oh, thank you. And by the way, not as an aside, not as a by the way, thank you for all our staff members, people in the trenches who work so hard to make this city beautiful. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote Success. And this is for all of you. And you're gonna hear and feel yourself in this. So Emerson said, to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends. That's a heavy one. Because that's going to happen when you make your first vote. To earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child, a garden patch, or a redeemed social condition. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. That is to have succeeded. That's success. This party is celebrating the unity of Monterey, the cooperation of Monterey, the success of Monterey. Everyone in this room is a success, and I look forward to working with you because you put your city and your community first. Now, let's party.